Hello.
Hi.
We're back. I'm Ari, and we have Amber here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Glad to be back.
We're happy to have you. Amber is a graphic designer who runs her own studio called Nice People Co. in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And her full name is Amber Asay, in case any of you are wondering how to pronounce it. And we've been working on a brand identity. And we started yesterday, so if you want to see the whole process, watch the replays from yesterday. But stay with us. We'll be here today and tomorrow at the same time. And we'll be working on a real client that Amber has called Elenita Mezcal. And she's been doing an amazing job so far. So can't wait to see what happens today. So who's here joining us today?
My friend Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Oh, Michelle Bruto.
Mm-hmm.
Hey. Hi, Kareem. Hi, Eliana. Hi, Anna. Michael, John, Jordan. And hey to Pokey and Lucio, who were here yesterday.
I remember those names.
Yeah, great to see returning guests. Pokey's in Virginia. Where is everyone else from? Hello, Steve. Qatar.
Ooh.
Nice.
It must be nighttime there.
Yeah. Anayat was here yesterday too.
Germany. George from Germany. Dune. Hi, Dune.
Mark.
Mark. Hi. Mark Jacobs. What a name.
Are you the famous Mark Jacobs?
Are you the Mark Jacobs tuning in to Adobe Live?
Paul's from Seattle. Oh,
Hi,
Mark's
Eunice,
from California.
from Mexico.
Katie's a fellow redhead.
Oh, yay. Shout out to redheads.
Sasha's from Angola. That's awesome.
Oh, it's 10:30 in Qatar now.
Wow.
There you go.
Toronto, Spain, Mexico, Virginia. 2 people
Florida.
from Virginia. Yerevan, Armenia. Wow, that's cool.
Alaska.
It's
Chicago.
everywhere. It's pretty amazing how many people join us from around the world.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's proof that graphic design transcends borders.
Yeah, and languages and yeah.
I am the Mark Jacobs, but not that Mark Jacobs.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
The original Mark Jacobs
Yeah.
is watching. The other
You're
one's
better
an imposter.
because you're watching us. Okay, so should we jump into our branding project?
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to give you a quick rundown of where things ended up last night or yesterday after we went over the 2 concepts. We designed 2 cans, 2 logos for each can for this Mezcal product and brand called Elenita. And so this is kind of the PDF or deck that I present to clients. And I always start off with the mood board just to kind of bring it back down to this is our goal point, our target, some of the brand words just to make sure that the design is actually hitting these words like authentic and adventurous and warm and analog and raw. And then I go right into branding options, and so in this case I just kept it really simple just because we're doing this quick and easy with 2 options to kind of get the ball rolling and get started on this project for them. And so this is a little different than where we ended up yesterday. I know we were talking a lot about color, and some of the color ended up being between like a green and a burnt sienna, and a few of you pointed out that you think it should reflect the flavor of the actual product, which is true. It's a consumer product, so you have to speak to the consumers and speak to the product. So in this case, I landed in this cucumber lime basil color palette and finessed some of the type a little more, and this little sun mark, this geometric sun mark. And then for option 2, we have the agave plant, and this geometric hillside and Aztec pyramid in here, and then some type on this one as well, and landed in this color palette here too that also feels a little more cucumber lime basil and a little fresh. And so that's my full little mini deck, I guess you could say. And I have feedback that we can go over on which ones they liked best, and
That's awesome.
Notes that they had, edits, more text that they want to add in. So we can go over some of that today.
And for those of you that didn't join yesterday, watch the replay because you can see the process that went into those designs that she just showed. And this is really rare that we have a design that was created on Adobe Live and then immediately shared with the client, and the client has come back with their feedback. So you're getting a deep dive into what it's really like to do a brand identity, and this is real life. It's live, it's raw.
Mm-hmm.
There's, we're not sugarcoating anything.
Yeah.
We're showing you what the client said and how we can change things. I mean, I don't know, maybe they loved it how it was, but does that ever happen?
No, sometimes they'll come back and they'll say, we don't like either of them.
Oh.
Can you come up with more options?
Hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw some people were shouting out which ones they liked best. Michael Orr said he definitely option 1 for him.
Is the mezcal symbol the same between both, or is it a different one?
It's this one
Sorry,
ended up a
the
little
agave.
thicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
the
one
agave.
ended up a little thicker than this pattern.
Got
Is that
it.
that you're pointing out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you used the same one or did a different one for the second design.
Yeah. And this one I tried to change the hierarchy and pushed it in the background, but I also told them that this pattern could change with the flavor, which could be a cool idea. So maybe it's not mezcal or an agave plant. Maybe it's actually like cucumbers or limes or something like that. So that was kind of just to get a concept out there and say, this is the overall feel of it. This is where I could see it going. This is how I could see it changing into different flavors. And I think having some of that upfront conversation with them helps them to kind of see where it can move to.
Cool. A lot of people said they like the second option.
Oh, yeah. Option 2, second.
We didn't even ask, but I love that you're voting on this.
Love the font for option 1 and the color blocking in option 2.
I wonder if any of the chat's feedback is going to be the same as the client.
Yeah.
So give us your feedback and we can see if any of you pick up on the same things the client does.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll take just a little opportunity here to remind you that we have a daily challenge. So there's a Photoshop daily challenge happening, and this is day 7. And today the challenge is to combine 2 or more images together with layers. And you can check out on the challenge tab right above the chat that you're in on Behance, and also rewatch Terry White's live stream where he goes through the whole thing, gives you a starter file, and you can follow along. And we'll be looking at those submissions later. So we'll
Cool.
be seeing what people create. And to see all of that, you can join the Discord channel that we have available. So just go on the challenge tab and the link is going to be there. This is the link right above us. And you can chat with other people that are watching. You can chat with people that work at Adobe. Some of our experts are there to give you feedback. So it's a great little community on there. And with you joining it, it can become a big community. Yeah.
Bigger is always better.
And also stay in the chat because we'll have a chat and win soon too. And I'll be talking about that in a few minutes.
Cool.
So what are people saying? I thought the Aztec pyramid on Can 2 was an Adobe building in the original meaning of Adobe.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's got that Adobe Aztec pyramid kind of a feel. Very geometric and boxy.
Yeah.
Someone else said that Voodoo Val said the design under Elenita on this
Oh,
one
the sun thing
looks like a cucumber.
That's totally right.
I actually didn't even see that because it was supposed to be just like a geometric sun or some kind of Aztec symbol, but it could be a cucumber too, or lime, the little seeds.
Totally.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
That could be like a pattern in the back.
Option 2, number 2. A lot of people are liking number 2.
Katie loves number 2. Michael says there's dissonance with option 2. The slope and steps don't gel. That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Maybe it needs to be more symmetrical or something like that.
Maybe one needs to be higher than the other, or it's the scale. So yeah, let me know what thoughts you have on that. So going into their feedback, they said, overall, we love the look and vibe of the first round of designs. It felt summery and like it represented a fresh cocktail. So I like when clients dive in and say overall at the beginning because it kind of helps me to understand where they're at before I dive in. Sometimes clients will just email me their feedback, which was this case, and I just copy and pasted it into a doc. But sometimes I'll also have them actually just do notes in Acrobat. And so like I'll point that out to them that they can just leave a comment and that they can just like type here, you know, we love this symbol or something.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to, like, sometimes they don't know how to use a, like PDF Reader or Adobe or Acrobat or things like that. So I'll point that out to them that they can point and actually make comments on things. And I think that's helpful because, especially with design, you're like, you know, that one color in that one option.
Yeah.
It gets really hard to explain it. So it's so much easier when you can use this tool and just go through and actually have little notes and comments on the actual design. But I saw Cecily, forgot where she went. She pointed out that she liked the type from option 1, but the design of option 2. And that was one of their biggest comments, actually.
Oh.
They said they would love to see option 2 using the Elenita logo typography from option 1. So that's something I'm going to try to kind of combine today. Let's see, what else did they say?
Can you make it bigger?
Oh, yeah.
And then people can read it. If you just
here it
expand
is.
it, or yeah.
Oh.
Ooh! And then click on the format icon on the right so that it's bigger.
Oh, yeah.
So that on the right. Oh, you don't need to do that anymore. Perfect.
Okay.
Now you can read it.
They said option 2, we love the easy to read hierarchy of typography. They pointed out a few things. They said ABV should be 6.5. They also want to add words like sugar-free and artisanal to the can. They want to make sure it says all natural ingredients. One big comment that I need to work on today too was they said we worry it looks like a CBD drink due to the colors, and some people that don't know what an agave really looks like confused it with a weed leaf.
Someone said that in the chat. Who said that?
Yeah.
Let us know. I saw someone say CBD.
Yeah,
You called it.
So they said, we're wondering if any modification can be made to the agave to make it look a bit more unique and maybe pull it away from being confused with the weed leaf. So that was this option that they're talking about, that they like this logo and that they like having an agave plant as their icon, but that it looks a little like weed. So we're going to push it away from that today. They also want Mezcal cocktail to be a little more prominent. So in this case, cucumber lime basil was bold and the hierarchy of it made it look like Mezcal cocktail was kind of blending in with the rest of the smaller notes. So I'm going to work on making that a little more prominent. And then they also had a comment here they wanted to see what the agave would look like right below Mezcal cocktail, which would be right under Elenita. So they meant like right in the middle of the can. But they said, if it won't look good in your opinion and just adds work, feel free to ignore this. So
This client seems really great.
yeah, I mean, it's nice because some clients are really trusting and they'll say, if you think it looks bad, this is just our suggestion, but let us know what you think. And I thought about that comment a little bit, and I think having the floating agave would be a little weird. I want it to be grounded, and especially since it's a scene where it's supposed to feel like this horizon with the plant coming out of the ground and the building and the hill. I think I want all of that to sit at the bottom of the can. So I'm actually going to ignore that comment and point that out to them in the next round too.
Cool.
So I think we could dive in. Oh, another comment too. They said, try putting the 100% agave espadin in a straight line below the agave. Might be a cleaner look and will prevent people's eyes being drawn to that versus the Elenita or the agave. So they're talking about this curve right now, or right here. They want to see if we can kind of push it back a little more and that it's drawing a little too much attention. So I'll try that as well.
Great. Hi, everyone who's just joined. Hi, Clarence, Ramazan, Eliana, welcome. Hi, Milko. I'm sorry we are not speaking Spanish. Hola.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
We have a couple people said they did see the weed plant as well.
Yeah.
And maybe even here, because it's smaller, it's more obscured. It looks like this has a little more detail, so maybe you would notice it wasn't exactly the same shape, but in the one where it's a pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, so one thing that I thought about, since we're talking a lot about geometric shapes in this, and it having that, especially the sun version and some of the references we had that felt very, very Aztec, I think I'm going to turn this into less of a leaf look and more of a geometric agave plant. So that was one idea that I had.
Cool.
And I always, whenever I create new versions, I always just kind of hold on to the other ones just in case, and then copy and paste.
So you always have tons of artboards.
Yeah. Or just like a ton of iterations too.
Yeah.
It's just kind of ironic.
We're using Adobe Illustrator, Clarence. Hi, Rodolfo. Welcome. Marhaba, Ramazan.
So I'm going to start with just a stroke. Going to make it nice and bold. This will be my geometric shape. And one thing that I do just to keep everything symmetrical is I use the rotate. I like using the rotate tool. So shift, whoops. Oh, wait. I'm doing the wrong. Okay. I'm just going to have to grab it from the menu. Where did my rotate tool go? Sometimes I look for it too. Here we go. So, something else that I learned is if you want it to become like a full 360, you can put that math in here and do 360 and say I want it to go around 24 times. Then I can do 360 divided by 24 and then hit OK, and it'll figure out that degree for me so that I don't have to do all the math and rearrange and everything. Oh. So what I'll do is I'll copy, paste in place. There we go. Hit R and return. I was blanking out. R and return to get your rotate window up, and then go 360 divided by 24. And then there I have that little diagonal. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a copy, paste in place, or redo. Wait, am I doing that right? Copy, and then, so it's Command C and Command D. So I'm copying it, and then I'm saying, oh, maybe I do have to do all three. Command C, Command F, Command D. Command C, Command F, Command D.
Whoa.
So it's basically creating this radial thing for me where I can just copy and paste and redo the last action.
Cool. So you had a line, you did R return to get the rotate tool, and then you had the exact angle you wanted to have 24 of these.
Yeah. So now what I want to do is split it in half. And so one way I'm just going to do that is I'll go to the Pathfinder. Thought I'd be able to combine all of these lines. Does that work? Nope. Okay. Maybe I'm just gonna have to actually put the marks on here. So I'm just gonna add all of my anchor points here so that I can cut it there.
This is a cool background on the screen.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions while I work silently over here?
Everyone's watching you. No pressure.
Yeah.
So, Eliana, the chat and win countdown, thanks for asking. I was just going to mention that that's going to be in 7 minutes, and all you have to do is stay active in the chat, and we'll pick a random winner to win a Sticker Mule prize. So we're giving away 100 free stickers, custom stickers from Sticker Mule. And it's the fastest and easiest way to buy custom stickers. And you can use your stickers to decorate your laptop, like me. Amber obviously didn't get the memo for hers. But whoever wins, once you make your custom stickers, you can send one to Amber to decorate her laptop.
Yeah. Apparently I need help.
She needs help. So just stay tuned, stay in the chat, and I'll give you a prompt, and we'll give you something to say, and then we'll choose a random winner. So that's all you need to do.
So I added all of in each of these strokes, I added a little anchor point in the middle so that now I can just delete these end anchor points and have half of it. There's probably a better way to do that. That was probably the long way. So if you have a better solution, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, I just did it that way.
And now it looks like a sun too.
Yeah. So that was another thing too is in my mind, I remembered we kept talking about the sun and having that warmth in there and making it feel like it was agave and sun-like, and they want people to enjoy their drink under the sun. So it all kind of comes together and gives them a little more of a concept than just an agave plant.
If a client makes comments in the PDF, do you automatically get a notification? Does it update, or do they have to send you a new version of the PDF?
They send me a new version. Because it's not a shared file, I'll email them the file. But I guess if it was a shared file in a shared Dropbox or something and they wanted to go in and edit it,
I think you can do a web version.
Oh.
I think you can share a version where they log in and they can share comments, and then you get an email when they comment on it. I'm pretty sure I've done that before.
Oh, okay.
So, Steven, check that out. If you create an Acrobat document, I think you can share. Yeah, you can share something for review.
Oh.
So there's like a for review option.
Yeah.
And then they will be able to add comments and you'll be notified.
That's interesting. I actually didn't even know that that was a thing or that you could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm rearranging some of this stuff. I'm gonna put this down at the bottom. I think I'm just gonna leave Elenita on the curve and make all of this straight. They kind of seemed like they didn't love all the curves. I went a little wild with the curves last time. So, and sometimes I just like have fun and I'll go wild, and then, you know, the client will be the one to be like, okay, let's tone it down a little.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Jane says, I think you could have expanded the lines and merged it together using Pathfinder and then split in half.
That's what I thought. Maybe I was actually doing a, I didn't even save the full one. But yeah, I think I was using the wrong Pathfinder tool.
It worked.
Yeah.
You did it.
That's what I get for being under pressure, live, designing.
Yeah.
Suddenly, all of my tools and knowledge goes out the window.
Totally. I hear you, Eunice, because a lot of people don't have Acrobat Pro, so I see what you mean. It might not be easy, but I think it's shared like as a web-based thing. So check it out. I might be mistaken, but it might just be in their browser that they can log in, and even if they have a free account. But that's an option for you to look into.
I'm gonna add sugar-free. That's one of their big selling points for this drink, is that it's sugar-free, so I want to make sure I include that.
Eunice says, I want to know, for this kind of brand identity, would it be better tasting the beverage before designing?
Probably, and sometimes clients do have their product ready and they send it to you and you can taste it beforehand. In this case, it happened at the same time. So they've been flying back and forth and are almost done with their product or their formula.
Back and forth to Mexico.
Yeah, to Mexico. I was really impressed with how authentic they're being with this particular product.
Yeah. Hey Dee, hey Munir, welcome. Great to see you guys. Someone asked what font this was that is used for the logo, and it's called Bourbon.
Oh yeah, I grabbed it off of Adobe Fonts and then activated it on my computer.
Yeah, so if you want to activate that, you can just go on Adobe Fonts, search Bourbon, and this designer has a lot of fonts that have that similar vintage vibe. And a lot of them have these names like Prohibition.
Oh yeah.
Gin. So.
Is it ironic I'm using a font called Bourbon for a mezcal drink?
It's funny.
It's like similar but not.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting places here. We're going somewhere. I think I'm gonna boost some of these colors a little more too. And I remembered analog was on our list of words. And so right now, all of this is feeling very digital, and I want to find ways to make it feel a little more analog. One of my favorite things to do to add texture, I don't know if anyone else loves this tool, but I do, is the roughen tool.
You got really excited when you started talking about it.
Oh yeah.
You're like, one of my favorite tools.
One of my favorite tools.
Oh, the chat and win, you guys. Okay.
5, 4, 3.
We're almost there.
We're gonna come back to roughen.
All you have to do is stay active in the chat and tell us your favorite tool to make things look analog in Illustrator. Okay, let's go. Okay, keep chatting, everyone. Kareem says roughen tool is amazing.
Oh yeah, I got some fans.
Matthew says dude. that works.
Yeah.
You're still in the running to win stickers. Who's going to win the stickers?
Never used
Paul,
Illustrator.
Steve, Matthew, Lauren,
Photoshop.
Kareem,
Filters.
Richard, Kirk. I'm so active.
Pen tool.
Vital, Frauke, Sean. Okay, Lauren Rabinowitz, you won.
Yay!
So you get 100 free 3" by 3" stickers from Sticker Mule. And you can make your own custom designs. That's so cool. Congrats. Yay.
Go Lauren!
Thanks for being here and watching us. We love that. And for those of you that didn't win, don't worry, we have a promotion for you. So if you go to stickermule.com/Adobe Live 19, you can get a discount. So make sure you use that URL. And congrats, Lauren.
Yay!
Thanks everyone for being here because we love seeing the chat updating.
Yeah. It's fun knowing friends are out there.
Yeah.
We're not alone.
We don't know who's there because we only see you through the chat. So make yourself known.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're just talking to ourselves or to each other. I guess.
Yeah,
I
at least you're
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Okay, let's get rough-and-tastic.
Ooh.
Okay, so under Effect, Distort and Transform is the roughen tool. So I like to preview it while I work on it just so I can see what it looks like. When you first use the default numbers, it's a little crazy.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is you can actually get really small with the size. So I'm talking 0.05 size, and you can up your detail to, I'll probably do 100. So you can see now that there's a little bit of texture going on that stroke or that line, so that it doesn't feel so vector and feels like it might have been printed or an actual like block print or something, which was in our mood board. I might increase this a little more, see how that looks. Go 0.08. I also am gonna smooth this too so that it's not so jagged. And then here's how it looks. I also try to keep in mind that this is gonna be like a 6" can or something. So one of my really big suggestions or recommendations when it comes to actual physical products is to always print your work. You never know, when you're working on a screen, everything looks smaller or bigger than it is. So when you print it, you get to actually see it in real life. And sometimes when I do that, I realize my fonts are way too big. Or, for example, this texture, I'll realize, oh, that texture is way too small. You can hardly see it. I should bump that up. So it's hard to know now how much this will bring or be visible on the actual can. But I try to kind of figure out what's 6 inches on my screen. Can I see that? Should I increase it? If I want to go back and increase it in my appearance window, I just go back to this effect, roughen, click on it, and then increase it or bump it up a little more. So let's go about there. And then for this side, you can now just go back to Effect and click Apply Roughen, and it'll apply the exact numbers that I did on the previous application. But it didn't know that I went in and edited it. So I'm gonna go back, click Roughen, and then bump that one up to the same number I had on the previous one.
Yeah, that changes it immediately.
So it's kind of nice, adds a little texture. I might bring in some textures into the actual color in Photoshop later. But this is a nice little Illustrator texture tool.
Kareem asked about the portfolio reviews. That's going to be tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow and you'll see a portfolio review tab right above the chat. You can enter to be one of those 2 that we review. And Katie asked, Amber, are you taking screenshots or making graphics for promotion while you create brands, or just once they're final? For instance, to share on Dribble, Behance, Instagram.
Yeah, sometimes I'll do a time lapse of my computer and share that on Insta Stories, because I think a lot of people love to see that, and I usually get a lot of feedback or comments when I do that, and a lot of people get excited. I just use QuickTime Player really, and then do like a screen recording, and then I speed it up later. But that's one thing that I like to do. Sometimes I'll do a few screenshots here or there as a work in progress, or I like to actually show it on the product. So sometimes I'll show the actual mock-up of it as well and get feedback from community on social media. So yeah, it helps a lot. I outlined this little geometric agave plant, and I'm gonna just round some of the corners too to kind of help this idea of analog. And it's nice because it kind of rounded some of those corners too. Mm-hmm. I might also apply a small rough into this one as well.
Olivia pointed out that there's a little tiny triangle of white. So if you scroll down between the stairs and the plant.
Oh yeah.
So that's a little
good
distracting.
Point. Placement is everything. It's like cropping a photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that
out. Thanks, Olivia.
out.
She said, I love how everything looks with the rough-in effect.
Oh, good.
Steve said, so clients are okay with you showing work before it is released or approved?
I got permission from this client. I actually asked another client if I could use their project for this, and they declined and said, we don't think we're ready for this to be public yet. So I already got declined once. But this client in particular, they're really excited about their product. They gave it some thought, and then they said, sure, let's do it. So yeah. Sometimes cool. I also make sure they are okay with me posting on social media too. Sometimes clients will send an NDA and they don't want other people to know about the product until it's actually launched. So in that case, I try to keep a tight lip and I don't post on social media. But other times when they're okay with it, then I just make sure before I post. So yeah, we're getting somewhere. We're tightening things up, scaling it up. Since they liked this version more and they want to explore this, I'm only gonna keep moving with this version. So let's put this on our can and see how this looks. So this is my little nifty mock-up in Photoshop. I'm gonna go to the proper smart object, paste it as a smart object. And I'm just being loose here because it's really just a mock-up for approval and for them to be able to see what it'll look like. And there's the new version. I'll save this out. And I know that they're gonna have a few other flavors too. So I wanna get them excited about this. So I might even actually do a few of the other flavors. Another one that they sent me was a grapefruit paloma.
I need to have a cocktail tonight. I didn't have one yesterday.
All this talk, yeah.
One thing I noticed on the can is that the geometric agave was really big.
Oh, yeah.
Like I look at
It's
that
really
before I look
overwhelming.
at the name.
Oh, yeah, good point. Maybe
So-
they should be the same width.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. It's kind of fun designing with people around because,
Yeah.
those little things people
Another
help.
thing that a couple people said is that maybe the name Elenita is imbalanced. Is there a way you can measure,
Oh.
like the E is
Yeah.
further left than the A is?
Yeah, so I'll bring up my ruler and drop that in. So according to this ruler, it looks like it's balanced, but sometimes it's also, even if it tells me it is, it also could be like an actual illusion that you have to offset anyways.
I feel like it might be too far to the left, but maybe it's because I've been staring at it too much.
Yeah. Well, and it's tricky because I think the reason why that illusion is happening is because the E is vertical and the A is slanted.
Oh, yeah.
And so if this came out here, it would feel a little more symmetrical. So maybe in that case, I have to offset it just a tiny bit.
Yeah, that makes total sense. You just have to optically correct it a tiny bit.
Yes. Optical, that's the word I was looking for.
Optical. Those of you that said it was a little imbalanced, let us know if that's what you meant. Because I think someone said it's skewed, another person said something else that was kind of vague, so hopefully that's what you meant. That looks better.
Yeah.
We're both like trying to go as far
You get
back
like
as we
this
can.
squinty eye thing going on. Do you ever do that? Sometimes I'll work in coffee shops and I'll just like sit there and then I'll do this.
Yeah.
And then I'll do this and then I'll do this. And like people around me are probably like, what is she doing?
She's stretching.
Yeah.
I sit at my desk and I have a rolling chair and I just roll far back and like look at it and then roll back.
I had a friend that did that too. He would literally just like sit there and then just be like, and like look at it from afar for a hot minute.
Oh, my friend Jake is in the chat. He says you could try reducing the letter spacing in the ELE as there is some more optical space there, which might be throwing it off to that side visually. That's a great point.
Tighten the ELE? Is that what he's saying?
Then the
I just
NITA
noticed-
doesn't look tight enough to
I
me.
noticed this IT kerning was a little off, so I nudged that.
Yeah, it's hard also on a curve. Like if it was straight, we could see the kerning really easily. But once you have the curve element, it kind of throws you off.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing you could spend hours
Yeah.
tweaking.
Another thing I do is reverse it. So this helps just for kerning purposes. It helps you to actually see some of those illusions too. So now, instead of looking at white space, we're looking at solid space, I guess.
Jake said you can do it upside down too.
Yeah, and I do that too. I was actually going to bring that up. Like, I'll just do something like this.
Yeah. And what I learned in type design is take the letters 3 at a time.
Oh.
So start with ITA, which one is closer to the other, TIN, INE, and it's so weird that it's curved and upside down. I'm like feeling disoriented. NEL. Like take each 3 letters and you'll see which set of 3 is off.
Yeah.
And then shift things.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, like I would say one thing that's standing out to me is this gap here.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that you're supposed to think of it as someone pouring water and that the like volume that water takes in between each letter is the same. So the same amount of water should fill each of these, or mezcal in this case.
Yes,
right?
Of course. How could
we're
we
just
say
gonna
water?
we're just gonna pour invisible mezcal in between Elenita.
And then the more you look at it, the more you find things, and then you need to give your eyes some space or some time because you could spend too much time and then overcompensate for stuff.
Yeah, that is very true.
That looks more balanced to me.
Yeah.
But then NIT, you can see that the I is closer to the N than the T.
Yeah.
So maybe between I and T needs to be tightened a smidge. Bree says, this is interesting. I feel like I'm learning something. That is what we want to hear.
Yay, we're all here to learn.
And let us know
learning too.
if you have any questions, specific questions, because we're here to respond to you. Sometimes I could miss something because there's a lot of you in the chat, but feel free. I'm looking for your questions. I'm trying my best to relay them to Amber and make sure we get her perspective. So use her as a resource. She's right here, live, waiting to hear from you. Cool. That looks better.
Yeah. And I should also use this ruler to figure out the width of this. The word, the text, and the agave plant. So maybe we'll make them...
The agave's a little wider.
Yeah, we'll have them live in the same space. Okay. And I'll hide my guides all the time. Command colon or semicolon. Does anyone else do that?
Kareem says, if you place the text tool after a letter, you can hold Alt and write out. I can't speak. You can hold right and Alt and right arrow key to kern it manually instead of putting in numbers.
Yeah, and when I do that, you're talking about, option. It does it by tens, though. It jumps in numbers. So that's when I actually have to come here.
But if you don't hold down Option, does it still work?
I think I have to use Option.
I was just wondering if Option's what makes it jump more.
Oh, whoops. Okay, I actually realized I was doing all those edits in this Vector Smart Object thing.
Oh.
So it updated here, but I don't want to lose that in my actual Illustrator files, so...
If you paste that back into Illustrator, is it still a different format? It's still a different kind of file, or is it back to how you started?
The Vector Smart Object?
Yeah.
Like if I moved it?
When you created it as a smart object, how does it change the format?
Oh, I have to hit save. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just wondering if it's the same thing as what you have in your original file.
Oh, yeah.
Because you took it out and pasted it back in. I was just wondering if it changed anything.
I mean, I had to copy and paste it from the Vector Smart Object file into my actual working file just so I can have it. I think the only reason I do that is because it helps update this instead of copying and pasting the full thing and resizing it again. So, yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
There's not really like a reason for the method, I guess.
We don't always have reasons for our process.
Sulky Choi asked, where do you get color inspiration? For this particular project, the color inspiration was a big conversation in the mood board process about what kind of color they want it to be. So it's kind of a combination of like rich jewel tones, but also has like a vintage aspect to it. But they also wanted to make sure it felt bright and summery. And so one conversation we had yesterday was about Adobe colors, which I started using it a little bit yesterday, and it blew my mind. I was like, why have I not been using this all along?
Yeah.
Ooh, this actually looks very grapefruit paloma to me.
It does. Maybe we can export that. You can name it. Name it grapefruit. It also looks like you're exactly the color of what you're wearing. It's like it picked you up.
It did. Maybe it did. Does it
your hair,
look
your
like
shirt.
I match? this. Oh,
yeah,
my Vanna White over here. That color.
You do.
I'm channeling this grapefruit Paloma today. That's what's happening. So I just named it, hit save. Supposedly when I go back. Oh, and I know what I just did too. When I go back now to my libraries, view by group. Oh, wait.
Whoa, there's so many things. It should be like if you have a recents tab.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Grapefruit.
Cool. And then each one you click on, if you have your object selected, you can click on each of the colors in that little theme and it will update them.
And then I think I can, oh wait, I can right click it, add theme to swatches.
Perfect.
And then now it's in this little swatch panel.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Eliana, thanks for joining. We'll see you tomorrow if you have to leave.
Thank you.
Jake says you can use Capture to get a color palette of your outfit. That's true. We did
Yeah.
mention Capture yesterday as well. And I still haven't shown it to Amber yet, but
Oh yeah.
we'll do that.
I saw it was on there. There's like extract from image. There
Oh
it is.
yeah,
Drag
but
and drop
on your
that.
phone it's a lot easier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the magic part. Katie asks, why did you decide to create Nice People and have more designers and people involved rather than being solo? at your
Good
studio?
question. I decided that when I lost a couple of potential clients who were looking for something for a bigger studio. And they were projects I really wanted to work on. And so I was kind of bummed because I felt like I just kept getting small projects from people who were just a single person starting their own business and not from a team of people who had already started another project and now they're going to start this other sister company associated with that bigger company. And so I feel like the bigger projects, they tend to want a bigger team. So I'm kind of chasing that right now, I guess you could say. I want to be able to do things that have more exposure and that have bigger budgets and are a little more exciting. But good question.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do the clients say why they need a bigger team, or is it just that they ask for things that you couldn't possibly do?
I think it's a
by
level
yourself?
of comfort knowing that there's 5 or 10 people working on a project and not a single person, and that those people are different creatives with different backgrounds. So bringing a copywriter in and a developer and or an illustrator or things like that. I think having a bigger team makes it so that they don't have to look for that full team and then add it to this designer that they found. They can just go to a one-stop shop and say, you've got everything we need. We're just going to have you work on all of it, including photography and all of that. And that's kind of nice.
Yeah, that makes sense. Terry White has joined us. Hey, Terry.
Hey, Terry.
If you haven't caught his live from today, he showed us how to do the Photoshop Daily Challenge. Today's challenge is to combine 2 images to make a composition. And make sure you check that out because it's on the challenge tab right above the chat here on Behance. And you can also join the Discord and get feedback from Terry and a lot of other experts and your fellow community members. So here's the link. You can click on, not click on the screen, but type that in and get feedback. The link is also under the challenge tab. So all the information you need is there, and we'll be reviewing in 35 minutes some of your submissions. So a lot of you participated in this challenge today, just like every day. It's pretty amazing how many of you are getting in there, getting into Photoshop, even if you're new to it. Mm-hmm. So it's great to see. Stay tuned for that.
I saw Jake said, for the other flavor, would you use some slightly different shapes? And yeah, I actually just thought about that and had been putting it into place. So that was a really good question. I think we're on the same wavelength right now or something.
You are.
So I think I'm going to try some waves because they're really into this beach idea. And if we're going to do like maybe this Aztec pyramid or whatever it is, it's going to stay the same. And then maybe I'll just have one part that's moving. What is that called in science? Does anyone remember their science classes in high school?
If one thing is
the same and the other one's moving.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Somebody help us out.
Let us know what it is.
You're, I'm drawing a blank. I've got too much design data in my mind and not science. So I'm gonna apply a zigzag to this line just so I can get a fun little wave going on. Maybe I'll make it a little smaller. Probably less ridges. Hit OK.
Kareem says it's the force.
Ooh, the force. The design force? The Adobe force? Let the force be with you. Oh, it's kind of looking like a flag.
It does, especially with the sun / agave image.
Yeah.
Hey, Huxel, how are you? Corey asked if you do any animations with your art to show the client.
Animation. No, I guess, because I'm not an animator. It's funny because I have Adobe After Effects sitting in my little dock, and it just sits there. It gets a little dusty, and like sometimes I just sit there and think about it, but I don't know. I feel like I'd probably use an actual animator to do that for me, because it's just gonna take way too much of my time figuring that out. So if any of you are animators or After Effects gurus, let me know.
I'm sure we have some animators on here.
Has anyone like attempted to dive into After Effects and figure out how to animate some of their logos or designs?
Hi, Evo. Hey, Cartier.
Ooh.
Cartier.
Cartier, meet Marc Jacobs.
Yeah, we have so many luxury brands in the chat today. So for those of you who are just joining, we've been working with Amber Asay here on her brand identity for a client, which is Elenita Mezcal, and they create cans of mezcal cocktail. Cans? Mm-hmm. Cans of mezcal cocktails.
Yeah.
When you say mezcal
that's
cocktail,
a lot of plurals.
It just sounded like it would have been like shrimp cocktail.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have a plural. Anyway.
I get you.
Or like, what are like fruit cocktail? It's not just like a fruit, it's a real cocktail.
That's true.
So we have been working on this since yesterday. We were here yesterday starting out with just the mood board and type ideas and really from scratch. So you can see all of Amber's process. And then we got feedback from the client. They're real. They saw the designs. They gave her feedback and we're working with what they said. So they had a few really good points and they had a few clarifications. I think I was really impressed by the way they communicated with you. I thought it was pretty exemplary of a client.
Yeah. They didn't belittle me, which is great. Yeah,
they were very encouraging.
Yeah.
But they also had some solid points.
Yeah, really good feedback, really good ideas, and they were centered on the actual content too, and making sure for consumers' sake it all makes sense and the hierarchy is there.
Mm-hmm. Katie said, I did After Effects for 30-second ads, but I'm still learning.
Oh.
And Katie Zupan said that, and then Katie Humble says, I've made a few animated commercials in After Effects. Are you really different people?
Wow.
Thanks, Jake. Good to see you. Lauren says, do you mean a control group in science?
Yes, a control group.
Yeah. Could be.
And then, but what's the other part that moves? We've got the control and then the
variable.
Variable.
Yes.
Ugh.
Variable.
That's it. We're done. We're out. Okay.
We're scientists. I mean, how can we?
Yeah.
What can you say? Of course, we're scientists.
The variable. I'm gonna say that over and over again so I don't lose it again.
Tiffany says, I'm trying to learn to animate. I'm sure we have some Adobe Live sessions. You should check out, look up Adobe Live animation. We might have some past lives that you can check out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cecily asked, once a project is complete, do you keep all the artboards and files, or do you only keep the finals on your computer? How do you prevent file clog? Ha ha.
Oh, yeah. I have a number system, so I just number everything like version or round 1, 2, 3, 4, and I keep everything. Maybe I'm a file pack rat. But sometimes I go back to old projects and I think, like, for example, with this version, with this fun sun that I really liked, like sometimes I'll go back to a project if it's relevant for another one and I'll say, wait, I kind of liked that sun that I did for Elenita. Maybe I'll bring it into this new project. So yeah, I keep everything just in case, especially since I'm constantly working on new projects for clients and you never know what's going to come up. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Val already has someone in mind that you should check out. Jake Armstrong did some animation in Photoshop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that I do a little bit of Photoshop animation where it's just stop motion and you can just it's like, little GIFs from your Instagram or Insta story where it's just like rotating or...
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that you can even do that in Photoshop.
Yeah.
So it's really easy. Even I, who am not the best at all of our tools because I don't have to use them every day, I did make a GIF in Photoshop last week.
Oh.
Because I wanted to share it with my team. It was just for fun. But I ended up spending like half an hour just like geeking out on exactly the timing and everything.
Ooh.
So
that's fun. It takes me longer than I think it will too, because you're literally just like placing everything.
Yeah, and there was like text that changed. So I'm like, when is the text gonna change?
Oh,
is it
yeah.
gonna be like this second or the next second?
Yeah.
You can get really into that stuff. Oh, Katie says there's an After Effects group on Reddit that she's been learning from. That's cool. There's so many places to find communities that work with the products. Lucia says, I'm trying to learn too many things. I can't even get into animate, even if I want to so much.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of got to limit yourself sometimes too.
Yeah.
And decide what you really want to do and what you really want to be good at and stick with that. That's kind of how I am. Once I figured out I really like branding and packaging, then I don't like go into all these other worlds of UI UX or animation or a lot of that stuff. There's experts in those fields. And there's no way I can get in on that now. I think I'll just stick with what I know.
Yeah. Georg says, for the creation of a branding or logo, Photoshop would also... Oh, would Photoshop be a good alternative to Illustrator?
For a logo?
Yeah.
I would say no, because you need that vector-based program, and that's what Illustrator's all about. So it's got to be a logo that can scale and that you can print and things like that. There have been a couple times where I'll like hand draw a logo or a script or something and then create like a bitmap file out of it in Photoshop, and that's a good way to send it to a printer, and printers will use those kinds of files too. Because like when they're going to create a plate, for example, if they're going to do gold foil printing or things like that, they need to have a very contrasty black and white version that they can actually create a plate from. So that's usually why it's best practices to use Illustrator.
We're gonna see it on the can.
Here we go, the big reveal. Ooh. Look at those waves. Do, 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 do. We're like hula-ing over here. Okay, so here's my grapefruit paloma. Kind of fun.
Yeah. Islam asked if you have any brand identity design books that you recommend.
Yes. I don't have them off the top of my head though.
Maybe
but there's
tomorrow.
a lot out there. Yeah, maybe tomorrow I can bring my list of books.
Yeah, or you can post it on your story.
Yeah,
if
that's
you
true.
follow Amber on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I like tapping into older books too. There's a lot of design books from decades ago that we could still learn from today, and it's a nice, refreshing perspective on design instead of something that's so new. And I like tapping into the history of design as well. It helps to create something new in this saturated market.
Everyone seems to like this. Katie says, I might like this version even more. So more than the cucumber basil. Evo says, great result. Corey says, I love it. Raphael says, the color palette's great.
Good. Yeah, I'm liking this wave thing, and I think I'm going to start doing that for all of the different flavors, is creating something new.
The only thing that I noticed when I saw it on the can is that it seems like it's really busy at the bottom because there's the wave shape, the stairs, the agave plant, and then the text, and then the rest of it is so minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can we balance the top and bottom so that it's not all heavy on the bottom?
Yeah, maybe what I need to do is create a little more solid out of this. And I think that's why this one was a little more successful, because there's a lot of solid shapes going on. So maybe I'll expand this, blend, expand the lines, and combine it with this shape just to get more of a solid in there. Go back to my opacity. Put it in the background.
Cecily says, maybe 3 waves is too many.
Yeah.
Well, here you go.
Yeah.
2 waves.
There's 2, unless I made 2 really fat ones.
Yeah.
That could be
Katie
another
says,
option.
can the bottom stair come out to cover the text fully? That's an option too.
Oh yeah, like this.
Yeah, it's all about how it looks on the can, so maybe it'll be easier to read that way.
Yeah.
I like all the suggestions.
Yeah.
Keep them coming. Also, I don't have to do anything, and I'm just like, that's what people are saying, Amber, so can you change it?
I'm on it, boss.
I think it
I'm
needs
on
to
it.
change. I'm the hovering art director right now.
Yeah. Anyone else experienced that before?
Yeah. Have you ever had to design live and have all these people tell you what to do? But also, I'm sure a lot of you have had that in your daily job, having someone over you telling you, like, it's not good enough, but not giving you exactly the feedback that you need.
I've even designed live for clients before. We'll get on a screen share call and we'll talk through a few things, and then they'll say, probably stupid me, then I'm the one who's like, I'll open up Illustrator and we'll do that right now. and
yeah.
then we open it up and then it gets into this really crazy, but it's fun because sometimes they're like, oh wow, oh this is really fun.
Yeah.
So you never know. It takes the right client to do that with though.
Mm-hmm. Do you work with a color scheme, Pantone? She does work in Pantone.
Yes.
But this particular scheme came out of going onto Adobe Color and creating a theme. So we were here on Adobe Color and we used the color wheel, and it actually was already on the colors that we wanted. We didn't even have to move it, and she found a really cool theme. So Georg, you should totally try that out. Corey says, designing live with the client sounds awful.
Yeah. That's why it takes the right client to do it with.
Yeah.
Because it could turn into a disaster.
Evo says, ha 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 ha, tell me about it all the time. I feel like that laugh is kind of like pained.
Yeah. This is where you can use those emojis.
Yeah, like the one that's
emoji.
crying and like laughing at the same time.
So I think maybe I'll make these thicker instead. And I'm just gonna grab the top anchor points, move that up. Yeah, that's a little better. And I think I'm gonna switch this new version. Oh, maybe I like that color better. The other one was a little orange.
Is using Pantone colors better for printing what you're doing than CMYK? So you talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
That you use Pantone so that you can have consistency when it's printed.
Yeah, I think with Pantone, it's good to have CMYK and Pantone versions for your brand colors because you never know with the printing process if they're going to just get one color printed. And then in that case, it saves them money instead of doing CMYK, especially if it's offset printing, because then they only have to pay for one color print instead of 4 color print. So yeah, I think it's just best practices because you never know when you're going to need that Pantone, and having that Pantone for other collateral or other swag that the brand might want to do, like t-shirts or things like that, then it's really easy to tell a printer, we're matching this Pantone for this particular product, so if you can match that, then that's all we need, instead of trying to send them a CMYK and then, you know, the color might not match and all of that.
That's the kind of thing you learn by doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's hard
Trial
to
and
know
error.
that stuff
I've
out of
learned
school.
much more about printing on the job than I did in school because you talk to printers a lot more, you learn from them. They know a lot, so it's nice to just ask them questions too.
Yeah. Sulky asks, how do you set the price when you work alone? It's kind of tricky to set the price. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, as a freelancer, I learned a lot about pricing from other places that I worked at too. Some places charged, you know, a ton, like hundreds of thousands of dollars for projects. But I learned a little more about pricing on the job and from fellow freelancers, and there's a lot of resources out there too that kind of help gauge what your base point should be so that you can keep working, what your minimums need to be, and then how much you want, what your goals are per year, how much you want to make, and all of that. So there's a lot that goes into pricing that I've learned over the years as well.
Anna really likes the wave graphic in the orangish color.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to apply this new one here. I'm liking this a little better. I need this to go a little lower though. Just gonna cheat it. When it gets that close to the bottom of the can, no one's gonna really know. And it'll just keep it clean.
Georg says, with which monitor do you work so that a good color quality can be guaranteed on the monitor?
Oh.
The monitor colors sometimes deviate from the printing inks. That's true, but is there any way to help with that?
Pantones look very different on your screen than they do in person. So I have a Pantone book that I reference a lot, and I think I have to actually see it in person to really make sure this is the right Pantone. So I usually like to go back to my Pantone books and step away from the computer so that I have a more accurate idea. This particular project is kind of up in the air though, because it's going to be shrink wrapped on like a matte finish shrink wrap label for the can. And so we're going to do prototypes first and before their full run, and that way I can see, they'll let me see the can, or the printer will send me the can. I'll get to see it in person, make sure the colors were what I was hoping that they would be and that they didn't get muddied somehow. And if they did, then I'll go back into my file, adjust the printers or offset it so that it'll be a little brighter when it goes to print. So some of that little back and forth or trial and error I think is really necessary so that you know it came out exactly how you wanted it to. Oh, do you have to put please drink responsibly? That's a good point. I should bring that up with the client actually, because they haven't said that about it as yet. They know that they have to put the warning on the back. I forgot the name of that warning, but that all alcohol labels have on the back. So yeah, maybe I'll tell them that we should do that as well.
Yeah. Pat says, a friend and I are going to start live streaming our design sessions soon too. Any tips? Well, this is your first time live streaming.
Yeah.
So you're an expert now. It's your second day.
Any tips for live streaming?
Now
That's
you
the
can give
question.
tips.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, it helps having a feed here because it really does feel like I'm talking to myself a little bit.
Yeah, so we have a screen where we can see the chat kind of big, which helps.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a lot of history of the chat, you'll miss things because they come in. So try to have a setup that makes you comfortable, and so you can see what everyone's saying and that has good lighting. I feel like that kind of setup stuff is really a lot of work because you just sitting at your desk and working and talking as if you were with people in the room, that should be easy if that's what you want to do. Like some people are like, I would never do that. But it seems like you and your friend are inclined to speaking in public and sharing your work. So that's the easy part. But then just making sure your setup helps you out in that way. And making sure everyone feels heard. And you answer questions and stuff. That's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Katie says if you use Adobe Libraries, when you save on the artboard, it will auto-update in the mockup. So if you save like your smart object to your libraries, maybe, you can access it through Photoshop as well as Illustrator.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't have to like paste it in.
I do see that
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Especially if you're working with a lot of different, let's say you had to design a can and a bottle and something else, you could make it update on every surface automatically.
Yeah, that's a good streamlined process for sure.
Cecily says, when you first started out freelancing, did you seek out groups or other creatives to get feedback? And this Adobe Live is so great as a soundboard for feedback.
I didn't start my career freelancing, so I think maybe that's different, is if you're starting new and you're still very green and you're freelancing, then yes, I think it helps getting people around for feedback. But since I'd been doing this for several years and worked at different studios and agencies, I think I got a good handle on my own gut on design, and I don't typically go to people for suggestions. Sometimes my husband is a good person that he's a very visual person as well, and so I'll just and it's nice because he's not a designer, so he's not going to get into the nitty gritty of the fonts or some of the weird stuff that I get weird about. He's the one who's going to look at it from a consumer standpoint, and then I'll just get him gut check. Which one do you like better?
Yeah.
And then he'll tell me. And I know that answer is probably what the masses would feel and not a designer. And so it's hard to kind of step back and have that other perspective. But it's nice that he does that.
That's really useful.
Yeah.
And he can say, this makes me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And he might not know why, but you know why, because you're this one I used warm colors, and this one I used cool colors. Will he feel more comfortable with the warm? And then it helps you in your design. From a business point of view, how do you negotiate the fees with the clients? Can you walk us through what to do when a client says the price is too much?
That is a good question. I mean, when people do say it's too much, then that's usually the end of the conversation.
Thank you, next.
And then they go away and look for someone else.
It's tough though when you're starting out, because you want to please everyone. You want to build up your portfolio. You want to have a good reputation and get experience. So you are afraid of clients rejecting you, but you have to understand that you'll never progress if you're afraid to say no. Mm-hmm. So you should be able to say no. When they say no, say okay, thanks.
Yeah.
You don't realize how valuable I am to you.
Yeah.
Or maybe they really don't have the resources. So
yeah,
that's too
true.
bad. You can't work for everybody.
Yeah. It's hard because it depends on how badly they want to work with you. And when people really admire your work and want a good designer, then they're going to do what it takes and they'll pay. And so sometimes you'll surprise yourself and you'll put out the goal numbers that you want to make on a project where you feel like that value is the worth is what you're worth. And when people say yes, absolutely, then I think it helps boost your confidence level and makes you realize people are willing to pay for your value. Mm-hmm. And you never know. So sometimes you kind of just have to put yourself out there, put those goal numbers out there, and then see who will say yes to it.
Yeah. I had a little experiment last year where I was sometimes I do work, custom artwork for usually people I know, mm-hmm. or a friend of a friend. And I was okay, I'm going to try to charge a little bit more because mm-hmm. it's actually taking me a lot of time to do this stuff. Yeah. So I experimented with it and I was I'll charge you this much. And it was double what I instinctually would have charged. Mm-hmm. And I was so nervous, what if they say no? And they said no. They said, you know what, we don't have the resources to pay you that much right now, mm-hmm. but I really would love to work with you in the future. And I was thanks. Yeah. Whatever. And then they reached out to me a year later and said, we're ready to do that project.
Wow.
So they really didn't have the resources. And they really did appreciate me. So
that's really cool. Yeah. I don't think that's ever happened to me.
It was really validating.
Yeah.
I was
it means they held on to you for a year in their mind and kept hoping and wishing that they could use you for a project. Yeah. And that's a really good sign because then they trust you going into it. They mm-hmm. value you. They're willing to pay, and they won't be a difficult client in that case.
Yeah. And another option, if you really, really want to work with someone and they can't pay you for what you asked, you can say okay, well, maybe I'll just do this one little part of the project for you.
Yeah.
That will take me this amount of time. You don't have to say to them how much time, but you can think like, I know this will only take me like a day, so I'm willing to get this much for it, and just take the project down to that one task and say, I'll do this for you. Maybe they'll pay you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always, I mean, with the negotiating part, you can always figure out how much are you willing to pay, and this is what I can do for you for that cost. And so sometimes you can kind of reduce it down. They're not going to get the world for that same price, but for the price that they can pay, you can say, I can give you this and this, and we'll go from there. And sometimes that gets finished, they loved it, and then they hire you for more work after. And that's happened for me too, is we'll start small and then we'll get bigger and bigger and keep working together for, a year or two. So, yeah. So now I found this Adobe stock image because I know that they're going to want, they also mentioned that they want a box for the can. I don't have all the details. I don't know if it's going to be a 4-pack or a 6-pack. Those are some questions that I should have asked and didn't. So, but there's not a whole lot of mock-ups out there. So right now I'm just going to do a rough mock-up on this 6-can one. But then once they actually get a die line from the printer, I'll probably have to just adjust some of my design into the actual die line from what I do with this mock-up.
Cool. So we have a few minutes left before we look at your daily challenges in the Discord. So the Photoshop daily challenge today that Terry showed earlier in his stream was combining 2 images. And I see a lot of you have already submitted yours in the Discord, and I will hopefully see more in the next 3 minutes. I'll probably go in there in about 4 minutes, and we'll look at your submissions. Val says, the scariest thing is raising my prices and informing those who inquire what my prices are. It can be really nerve-wracking. And Olivia says, that anxious pit of the stomach feeling after sending a potential client your price list never goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But once you do it more and more times, it doesn't go away, but you get used to the feeling.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I've done this before. Have to do it again.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm going to create a mask and just fake it on some of these. I guess I could just put the design on the can. I don't know. It's either that or I just drop these cans that I've already been using into this design.
Hey, Carl. Welcome to the party. We have mezcal in 2 flavors.
Cucumber lime basil, grapefruit paloma. They have another flavor, but for the sake of time, I won't go into it today. It's a pineapple jalapeno.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah.
I can't wait for these to be available.
Yeah, right?
I've been lusting after them this whole time. Basilio says typically 4 packs for anything above 10% alcohol. Is that a regulation or something?
Oh, that would make sense.
But this is only...
Oh, it was above 10%?
Yeah.
These are 6.5. But yeah, that's... He must know what he's talking about. You must have done this before.
Hi, Kaio. Welcome. Hi, Johnny. Kaio's from Brazil. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Brazil. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oops.
Evo's getting thirsty.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I wonder
For cucumber
why.
lime basil mezcal. Oh, I see what I have to do. I have a couple of masks here. Fill that with white. All right. So I didn't realize this, but once you put the can inside, the color on the bottom doesn't show anymore.
Yeah,
So
there's like no graphics on.
yeah, I'm thinking I might have to bring the color into the box part so that people can see that color and it'll bring it to life again.
Yeah.
I also don't know if this is the exact layout that they're gonna use, but this is pretty common, this kind of a box.
Mm-hmm.
So.
How did you teach yourself how to use mockups?
I mean,
You just did it?
yeah, a lot of the good people are the ones putting mock-ups together, and then I just use their files and like buy those online. In this case, and so I think I learned from seeing their files and seeing how they did it. So sometimes you have to just dig into someone else's file and then realize, oh, that's how they did it, and figure that out. And so in this case, this wasn't an actual mock-up. This is just a 3D blank image that I got from Adobe stock that now I'm going to just Photoshop my design onto. So it's not going to be as convenient as dropping onto like a smart object and it just doing its own thing. So yeah. Are we out of time?
Yeah. We're gonna look at the Photoshop daily challenges. So I have the Discord app open. The Discord chat. And I guess Adam S. was the first one today at 12:01.
Ooh.
Terry's live stream started at 12. So
Wow.
Adam was on it. Her eyes are looking a little terrifying. I just noticed when I made it bigger.
Oh, yeah.
So the images that Terry had available were the woman and then the glass head. So the task was to combine these two. And this was combined in multiple ways, like through the eyes and with her holding it. It's pretty cool. And then this used a different image, but combined two images. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
It's like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it looks like a Harry Potter poster.
Yeah.
It's like
Hipster Harry Potter.
yeah. That's cool.
That would be a great concept. There's like the people that do hipster Disney princesses.
Yeah.
It could be hipster Harry Potter characters. Here's Catherine. Yeah, I did it in real time with Terry. That's awesome.
Wow.
I'm always impressed when people can design things during the live stream while they're watching.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it helps too, because then you'll forget the tools that they used or opened, and you're like, wait, where do I find that?
Yeah, I'm usually just watching, but I love seeing that people are working and watching. So here she is holding the glass head. That's what we want to see.
Nice.
Background photo taken in downtown Kansas City. That's from Rod. So he combined these two images and made this one. That's cool.
Wow.
So
The
that's
shadow.
a real image in the back that you took, and you... Are you sure that's real? I can't... I guess it is. It just looks a little fake to me.
Like
I don't know
2D
why.
or 3D.
But maybe you fixed the colors. But it goes really well. You darkened it and added the figures. Very cool. That's from yesterday. Here's Ralph with Terry's image. Really well done.
Look at that shadow on her hand.
Yeah,
Like
that's
glass.
a pro move.
Yeah.
With the shadow.
Blue glass.
I love seeing how all of you are communicating here and giving each other feedback. Oh, Gerard, look at that.
Oh.
It's not only the glass head, it's in a pot with a flower.
The glass head was not enough.
Yeah.
He was like, she needs a plant.
She looks too happy to just be holding a glass head.
That's the thing about those stock photos.
Oh my. She's on fire.
Wow.
Oh, and here's someone else in the photo. This is from Lucy.
What's the story there? Did he serve her that? Is he a server or a host? Is this like a fine dining event that they're at?
It's fine dining, but everyone's eating glass heads. I like this, but I also really want to know the story. And
yeah, why
he
that
also
guy?
looks a little creepy.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't know he's there, and then he's gonna say something, and she'll be like, "Oh, who are you?"
You never know who's gonna creep up on you when you're holding a glass head.
Oh, so Robin Hood combined these two images.
Ooh.
That worked really well. So this background was like a playground or something with a lot of different people, and then you made this image out of it.
That's what you can use on your Instagram posts is
I know, you don't
make
have
it
to
look
travel.
like you're traveling when you're not really there.
Yeah. It's much cheaper to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, here you changed. This
Pink.
is Charlie. Charlie edited the head. That looks cool. Kramer. All of you are doing really well with the challenge. Some of you are adding other elements here, like Mick. What's your name? Mickey. I think that goes really well with the head.
Mm-hmm. It's like the sky is reflected in the head.
Yeah. Have we seen any of your challenges in the chat? I don't recognize any of these names from the chat I'm seeing right now. Damien. On the one hand, oh, he's asking for feedback here. I can't see the difference between those, but I'll have to look at it more closely. Oh my. Dhruv. Something happened to the head.
It exploded.
That's really cool.
Wow, it's seamless.
Yeah, how did you do that?
Oh.
Because you expanded all of this
Or
out.
did they redraw the head? Is that the same head?
I don't know.
Hmm.
But I
That's
think
some major photoshopping
you also need
skills.
to change her expression. Since you're so good at this,
Oh yeah.
can you make her
Shocked?
Can you make her shocked? Here's
Another
one.
background.
Cool. I still think the one with the shadow under the head was the best because they really thought about the interaction of the two objects. Oh, here's Marc Jacobs.
Oh.
I played with
Marc Jacobs.
Yes, the Marc Jacobs. I played with the masking to make it look like the skull is nestled in her hand. Oh, so he made sure her hand wasn't covered.
Yeah.
That's good. You made it really huge.
Yeah.
She seems really strong.
Maybe it's plastic.
Yeah.
One-handed.
Oh, look at that background. And here's a shadow. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done to Christelle. Oh, and
Another
here is
one.
Rod with another one here.
Cool.
That looks really cool.
I'm liking the shadows that he adds under them to make it look like they're really there.
Yeah, right under the wheel here.
Yeah.
I wonder what Rod does. Does he design for games?
Maybe.
That kind of thing. This is your brain on Photoshop.
Oh,
my gosh.
Oh, yes.
I think you've spent too much time in Photoshop. That's funny.
So then the head's on her face and on her t-shirt or her tank top.
That's from Valentine.
Another explosion.
Oh yeah, this is the same person.
Oh, okay.
They just
changed
changed
the colors.
Oh, so now Carrie has a girl walking down the street and a flower and put the flowers in the bag. Wow, that looks super real.
Yeah.
Really cool. All right. Damien shared a few images. I guess the background was combined with the person. And now that I see all your images, Damien, it looks like you were fixing the colors to make them harmonious. It looks really good.
Yeah.
It looks real.
For sure.
So you didn't have to travel to this place.
Post it on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, see? Okay. So here's the original image. And then here's the image of the person.
And he wasn't even on a white background.
Yeah. Excellent work. Love it. So make sure those of you who are submitting, you keep participating in the community here and in the challenges, and you can see the daily challenges here. Sam posts them, and then there's all these other channels where you can get tips and feedback. So great work, everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's learning a lot about Photoshop. And we can go back to our project.
Okay.
All right, back to the mezcal.
So there's a couple ways I can mask this. Speaking of Photoshop and masking, so I can just do my quick selection, especially if this is just a mock-up and I am mostly using it for proof of concept and not necessarily like a finished thing. Then I'll just use this quick selection tool. Sometimes I'll use my pen tool if I want to get really exact and create a vector mask. And sometimes that's fun to do, especially if it's like messy edges, then it makes it cleaner. But since this is already like a 3D photoshopped thing, then I can just do that. I'm going to create a layer and save that mask. And then for this side, I'll do the same.
What keyboard shortcut did you use for
the mask?
Yeah.
I just use W. It's this. It's nice too, whenever I forget, to know it has the quick key right next to it. So the B for brush. And I think that was one of the ways that I just got more and more used to memorizing that. Oops. Gotta do over that one. And then when I hit Option, it creates the minus sign, plus to add.
Perfect.
And
then when you save the mask, what do you click
so
on?
then I'm creating another layer, because if I masked the actual background, then it would lose it, or I would lose the image. So I'm just creating an empty layer and then saving that mask in there, so that when I actually drop my design in here, then I can make sure it falls into those masks. So I have that prepped for me to go back to, which is nice. So I'm just gonna save this and then go back into my Illustrator file and actually work on the design for the box.
So yeah, we have about 12 minutes left for today, but we'll be back tomorrow.
Yes.
So we'll have so much more.
So tomorrow, I'm not going to send the client anything today. I am just going to keep going with this and finish up the box and maybe do a few more things to fill out the brand, possibly business cards or more typography to show what it could look like if it was going to be part of a digital campaign or a print campaign. But most importantly, I have the die line from the printer for the actual can. So I'm going to take this design.
What's a die line?
It is oh, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever had to explain that before. It is the print file that they're going to use for printing. So The die line will actually define what the cut or crop areas are going to be, what your margins are, and it's basically that flat file. So right now I've just been doing quick mock-ups, putting it onto a can, but to actually send it to print, I need to put it in the printer's proper file and send it to them so that they can print from that file. So I have text from the client for the back of the can. I might possibly include that drink responsibly note because I really liked that a couple of you guys pointed that out too. Basically start building out the back of the can with all that important information within the die line as well.
Got it. Thanks, Milko.
Thank
Maybe
you.
we'll see you tomorrow.
So I'm just gonna drop this in here for like size and scale purposes. If my can is cream, then maybe I'm actually gonna have the box be a color. So in this case, I could do one of the colors. I could do this lighter color too. And then maybe I'll start bringing in some of these elements that would go onto it. I'll just do like a quick drawing here so that I have this to work off of too. But maybe it'll be this color. Maybe I'll start putting in more of this desert scene. This is when I could probably use a few more shapes too. And then since the can could possibly be obscured, who knows, I don't have control over the shape or which way the can faces.
Yeah.
Then I think I'm gonna bring the logo into this side too so that people actually know the product. And another thing too is I like to keep things the same scale across the board, especially if it's already a decent scale for the can. So in that case, I don't want my design to be too messy and have the logo be tons of different sizes. So to keep it clean, I'm probably going to keep it at the same height and even scale that it is on the can.
When they design a website, will you also be involved in that?
Yeah, so they've talked about wanting an investor deck for client or for potential investors. So they might bring me in to work on putting together a PDF with all of their strategy and their, I guess, a lot of the information that they've gathered about the market and the current mezcal market and everything. So so there's that, and then website. They've also talked about potentially doing a website. Right now we're just starting with branding and the can, so it's another one of those projects like we were talking about where they didn't buy into this huge package. They said, let's start small, and then once we get investors, we'll be able to put more money into designing a like much bigger thing. So right now we're starting with 5 SKUs and basically can and box brand and package design. So so yeah.
Richard is asking, do most creatives use Apple computers?
I think so. I think that's just normal. I'm not really sure. I mean, I like the design and the interface of Apple computers, so that's my preference.
Yeah, a lot of it is what you're used to.
Yeah.
Val and Amara use PCs.
Oh, we got a
Yeah.
couple PC users.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn that into a clipping mask so I can kind of see more. Maybe I want my hill to be a little more complex this time. A couple of hills. I could add What else should I add? What do we have over here? I could add some plants and planters, or palm tree, maybe a cactus, or an agave plant. Of course, I can't forget my agave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget
Remember
him.
this guy? I don't know.
I kind of like it at the bottom.
Yeah. I could change things up and just
It looks more like a landscape that way.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah, sometimes when I've got this big image and I keep accidentally clicking it, I'll hit Command 2 and lock it down. So now I can't grab it anymore or accidentally grab it.
That's a good shortcut.
Yeah. Do I put more than one agave? Sometimes you just gotta fool around and see what works. I might add a sun.
Nice. And then you still have to put text on there, right?
Yeah. So I don't have text from the client yet. They're working on that part. So I'm kind of just faking it for now to get the ball rolling on this part. Sometimes I'll put fake text on it too, or that's what I did with some of this stuff. They corrected me on some of the text and also pointed out that they needed a few other words in there. And so sometimes I'll just like fake it, but it helps the client to really gauge what they want out of it, what they like and don't like.
Cecily says, try another smaller agave plant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you could have different sizes. Kareem says, maybe you can place the green shape behind Elenita, but flipped in the background with low opacity, acting as a sun. Oh, you mean the agave shape, Kareem? Yeah.
That's what he means, the agave?
I think so. But I don't know what flipped means. And Amara says, is it easier for you to build your branding in Illustrator or Photoshop? It seems like you need both.
Yeah. I use both, especially when I need to do mockup, because it's just much easier. I could just do it this way too, and then just like blend all of this. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could go either way.
Mm-hmm. You could
Maybe I'll keep them
play around endlessly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could create a cactus. So we'll just do like a simple one.
Yeah, if you have any last minute questions, let me know. We only have 3 minutes left.
Yeah. I saw there might have been a couple more questions about client stuff, but I think our topics changed.
Yeah, I feel like we
Covered a lot of that.
Yeah, a fair amount of stuff.
I'm just going to create this really simple 4 shape, I guess, and then curve
That's
it.
fast. That was great.
And then actually I could probably just make these, since they're lines.
Oh yeah, make them curved.
Yeah.
Great job, Amber, and thank you, Ariadne. I think I'll join tomorrow's challenge.
Cool.
Good night. Yes, it's bedtime for me from Holland.
Oh, wow.
Good night, Evo. We'll see you tomorrow. Nice. So tomorrow we'll be back, and are we going to continue working on this?
Yeah, so we'll work on the die line part, and possibly a few other applications for it. I might try to finish up a few things for this box today. But yeah.
Great. So make sure you join us tomorrow. We'll be back with Amber Asay. She's going to continue working on this amazing branding project. And if you have any more questions, save them for tomorrow. We'll see you same time, same place. And have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.